Hey guys, so I find something rather interesting, and I think you will too. Well, back in October of last year, uh, the Saudi prince announced that they want to build a mega city that will cost $500 billion. Now, this city will be called Neom, and it means new future. Okay, now the thing about the city is it will be a futuristic city with drones, robotics, and everything like that. Um, the articles I've read on it, it said that it will have more robotics and humanoid robots in it than it would actual living human beings. So I find this rather interesting, and especially how Elon Musk came out with his Neuralink to upload us to computers. All this stuff is pushing towards the transhumanist agenda that I know many people out there don't believe this is the way that this is going to go, but this is the way it's going. Okay, uh they are going to do this mega city with drones, all robotics, um and you know when Trump did the Muslim ban. Now, this is the thing. If it was a Muslim ban, don't you think he would have implemented that on Saudi too? But he didn't. Saudi was left out of that. And then we all seen Trump go over there, put his hand on the globe and everything else. I think this is an investment that Trump is doing with the Saudis over there because they are one of the wealthiest families in the world. The Saudis are. So I find it rather interesting that they are planning to build a futuristic city with drones, robotics, and they'll be doing their own food and everything over there. And the like all the commercials I seen, it looked nice. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh no, it looked like junk. No, it actually did look nice, but the way things are going into the transhumanist movement, that is how everything's going to play out. So I've said this a lot on my old channel that I had, that I just had a feeling that it was going to be a transhumanist agenda that they are pushing for. And it will be really close to Israel, the city will. So I find that rather interesting too. This will be something you guys want to look into, keep an eye on. The city will be called Neom, Neom. All right, guys, I thought you guys would want to know this. God bless.
Types that come along from time to time. An insider who thinks the regime in which he operates is wholly dysfunctional and needs to be reformed. One concrete ambition is investment of $500 billion in a new futuristic city on the Red Sea coast called Neom.
A place where pioneers and thinkers and doers can exchange ideas and get things done.
The promotional video shows just how different they intend it to be from the stultifying, repressed images we normally see from Saudi. Stunning nature, mountains, plains, valleys, coasts, coral reefs, islands. Mountains are covered with snow in winter, mild weather in summer, 10 degrees less than the other Gulf cities and capitals. The political will is strong, the popular will and desire is strong. All the elements of success exist to create something great within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That's the Crown Prince bin Salman. He's only 32, and he's the recently appointed heir to the Saudi throne, replacing his cousin in the role. He's already impressed President Trump.
With energy that flows from the sun and wind.
One objective is economic, preparing the country for when the world weans itself off oil. It also needs jobs to occupy its youthful population. More than 2/3 of the population is under 30. But another objective is cultural. The country has become a beacon of ultra-conservative Sunni thinking. The Crown Prince made an astonishing admission to The Guardian this week. What happened in the region in the last 30 years is not the Middle East. After the Iranian Revolution in 1979, people wanted to copy this model in different countries. One of them is Saudi Arabia. We didn't know how to deal with it, and the problem spread all over the world. Now is the time to get rid of it. Change has already been evident. Women being given license to drive. An obvious step to us, but a huge change in Saudi Arabia. The vicious war in Yemen might be seen as just one sign that the country is not close to a humane presence in the region. And then, of course, there is the problem of resistance within. Will a crown prince beat the forces whose status and power has derived from the old order? Saudi Arabia is a new Dubai. Well, Dubai has its issues, but nothing compared to those of Saudi. So, is reform for real? I'm joined by the Saudi journalist, Abir Mishkas, who just returned there this week, returned from Riyadh, and by Nesreen Malik, another journalist who herself used to live in Saudi Arabia. But let's just start briefly with the BBC's Frank Gardner, who knows the country so well. And Frank, just tell us a little about this Crown Prince.
It is impossible to overstate how important the changes this man is making. It is absolutely tectonic. By Saudi standards, it is moving at a lightning pace. These are changes nobody could have imagined possible happening so quickly. The man who runs the economy, the defense, the royal court, just about everything, has turned around and told Saudis, we've actually been getting it wrong. It's time to stop extremism.
And he has the king's support, presumably, because the king promoted him just a few months back.
He does. He's the king's favourite son, which isn't popular with everybody. Some of the older princes are upset at that. I met them both in 2013 in Jeddah, in the king's palace. I didn't even know who this guy was. I said, what do you actually do for a living? And he said, I'm a lawyer. He, in fact, at the time was relatively obscure, but he's risen to prominence. He's made some mistakes. He started this catastrophic war in Yemen, which is nobody is winning. The Yemenis are losing it by the thousand. He is also involved in a spat with Qatar. But this is a bold step, which I think many Saudis would agree has got to be done. They need to find an alternative to oil. They need to move on and join the rest of the 21st century.
All right, well, let me turn to my two guests. I mean, Abir, do you think this is for real? Because often people talk about, reform, but it's not really there.
I think it is for real. I mean, there's a huge wave of optimism in the country. It's something that nobody ever spoke about before, just talk about how we had a problem with the religious establishment, with the ideology itself. And to say that we had all that time, we wasted 30 years, we're not going to waste other 30 years in it, and we have to do something about it. I think this is something that everybody was happy to hear.
You welcome this, by the way, presumably.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you were there. Were other people that they were talking about it?
Yeah, actually, they were talking about it, and people, at least the people I've seen and talked to, they're very optimistic, and they're thinking about what's
right.
going to happen in the country. What are they going to do about it?
Nazarene, do you feel this is real? Because obviously one thing you could do is just actually liberate it now. You could say we'll take people out of jail and we'll give them.
No, I do believe it is real. I think there's two issues here. One is, in the short term, is this, a shifting of tectonic plates? Is it completely revolutionary? Is it something we did not expect to see in our lifetimes? Absolutely yes. My concern is in the application and in the suggestive mistakes that he has made that you yourself has mentioned, and also even in the past few weeks, since he has started to confront the religious establishment, people have been thrown in jail, they've been banned from traveling. A very high-profile youth sort of religious scholar and TV presenter was banned from traveling today. And so my concern is the application going to be as smooth? And also, is the support for him kind of confined to cosmopolitan elites, but in the hinterlands, which one of the senior royals referred to, call them the people in the small towns that have not really, come with the times? Exactly.
Yeah.
Are they going to be supportive?
A bit, because you've obviously drunk the Kool-Aid. You support the guy. I mean, why is there still such repression today? I mean, you could start liberating more quickly than his program. You don't have to have Vision 2030, whatever he's called it.
Well, it is very hard. You're talking about a country that has been, just kept behind everyone else for years and years. And now it's just wanting all these changes. You can't imagine how much resistance there was for the driving of women. Still is. I mean, if you go on and listen to people talking about it, they're still complaining. Some people are complaining. Some people actually are not happy with what the Crown Prince is talking about. And he has to fight all that. The thing is, he's supported with all the young people of the country who've been traveling abroad, who studied abroad, who want to find new jobs, who want to stop, traveling to other countries to feel free. They just want everything in the country.
Nazarene, should we worry that, the Crown Prince may mean it, but the forces of conservatism are just too strong to assassination, you could imagine any number of things, really, couldn't you?
There's always that scenario. I actually am optimistic. I do think that the momentum is behind him in terms of demographics and in terms of kind of the age and the fact that the current generation has been on the internet, on social media for the past 15 years. It's a very different bedrock to people who have decided to reform before him. So I'm not concerned about the kind of the tailwind behind him. I don't think that there's going to be that much resistance from the establishment. What I am concerned about is that the lessons that are learned from the past 30 years, as he refers to, I don't think it begins with the Iran Revolution, that's another session. I'm afraid that the lessons of 30 years will not be learned, which is that there was complicity on behalf of the royal family to actually inject extremist and actually radical language into the public address of the country.
Religious language.
Yes, into the academic curriculums of the country. This was not something that was imposed by some disembodied religious establishment. It was with the full sanction and complicity of the royal family. And I think to deny that that was something that they did and that they need to undo will be one of the big tests.
Yeah. Frank, we're not talking about democracy in 2030, are we? Or is that the ultimate vision?
No, and I think let's not get starry-eyed about this. It is not. He's no Democrat. A lot of people are getting locked up for blogs, for tweets, etc. It's not a kind of Western-style democracy that he's aiming for. What he's aiming to do is to liberate the economic power of Saudi Arabia, to find jobs for all these millions of people pouring out of schools and universities. The risk, just as Nasreen says, is that there will be dark forces gathering against him who don't like what he's doing, and they will remember what happened to King Faisal, who was a modernizer in the 1960s. The Conservatives opposed women's education, they opposed television, he overruled them. Ultimately, he was assassinated in 75. God willing, that's not going to happen.
Very briefly, last one, Abir. Yemen is a blot on the Saudi copybook, right? Of a serious kind. Should we trust the guy who's kind of behind that to be the reformer?
Well, the thing is, you can't get everything that you want from the same person. You said Gorbachev, so Gorbachev did help in a way. At the time, it wasn't seen as helpful by other people in Russia or in the Soviet Union. So there's always, you have to see everything.
It's going to be a mixed bag. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's an interesting one to watch. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
The vision behind that growth story. Please welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, His Royal Highness, Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And now, our other panelists. Please welcome to the stage Stephen A. Schwarzman, Chairman and CEO and co-founder of the Blackstone Group. Masayoshi Son, Chairman and CEO of the SoftBank Group of Japan. Mark Rayburn, CEO, Boston Dynamics of the USA. And Klaus Kleinfeld, the former Chairman and CEO, Arconic and Alcoa, former President and CEO, Siemens of the USA.
What is NEOM in short? The difference that is going to happen in NEOM as a zone, as a city, in NEOM, is like the difference between this phone and this phone. This is what we're going to achieve in NEOM. When talking about resources, the location is undoubtedly has enough sunshine to create any energy that we want. Solar energy, there is wind that is considered to be the best location in the Middle East with the presence of winds. Also, we can extract 200,000 oil barrels in this location, other than gas deposits in this location. I believe that the majority have reviewed the piece of news today, and what are the 9 sectors that we concentrate on to establish the Xeon and the city inside this zone. So there are many opportunities that we're working on, and we try not to work only with the dreamers. This place is not the place for conventional people or conventional companies. This is a place for dreamers that want to create something new in the world.
You will be the CEO of NEOM. Give us your vision. What are you expecting this to look like within the next 5 years?
Actually, we don't know. He's just... Well, I tell you, my first, when I received the question, Klaus, would you be interested in it? I said, let me come over and let me take a look at the land. And I went there, and this is 26,500 square kilometers. It has 500 kilometers of beachfront. 2/3 of this is sandy beaches, islands, coral reefs. 1/3 of it is mountainous terrain, very steep drops, and all of it is untouched, beautiful. You have mountains that go up to 2,500 meters. You have a climate that's really nice, wind blows all the time, you know? So I saw it and I thought, where on earth, you know, can this happen? And then you look at the geography and you say, I mean, 70% of all people all around the world can be here in this place in no more than 8 hours flight time, you know? So if you look at the transit routes, 10+% of all transit go through the Suez Canal. You know, you have the telecom routes going through there. You put all these things together and you say, wow. And then you start saying, well, what have we got here? I mean, the kingdom has been blessed with oil and gas. We know this. The kingdom has been blessed with the new oil and gas, which is sun, right? And NEOM has been blessed on top of it with wind. You know, so we can create something that is fully regenerative powered. Zero carbon, net zero carbon. You know, we actually think that we can export from there, and I'm sure Masa-san is going to talk more about it because he's going to help put this vision into reality now. You know, so this is very exciting. And then when you pair it with the idea of, I mean, if you think about, there's a shift. I mean, as you know, Maria, I mean, I've got 2 daughters, you know, 23 and 28, you know, and when I listen to them and their friends, you know, there's a different generation. There's a different view of how the future should look like. Sustainability plays a big role. Quality of life plays a big role, and they all want to be part of the technological revolution that's going on. So our great vision here is to bring these things together, to create a place where you can live very well, very, very well in a way that's more back to where humanity came from. But you pair it with using technology to help do this and accelerating it into a future that makes the human more, makes economic benefits, but puts the human in front, you know. So that's inspiring to me, and as His Royal Highness said, I'm very much inclined to put my fingerprints on it, and he's helping every day on it and every night.
Your Highness, you have an incredibly beautiful country. You have the resources, but you are having radical ideas, some might say. Recently, you've announced that you will soon allow women to drive. You are allowing foreign investment in your beautiful country. Why now? What triggered this change in thinking?
First of all, I don't want to get out of this topic and discuss politics outside of the scope of today, but I'll just be very brief. Saudi Arabia was not like this prior to 79. Saudi Arabia and in the entire region, you have the awakening project spread after 79 for many reasons. Today is not the right day to discuss them. We were not like this in the past. We only want to go back to what we were, the moderate Islam that is open to the world, open to all the religions. %70 of the Saudi people are less than 30 years old. And quite frankly, we will not waste 30 years of our lives in dealing with extremist ideas. We will destroy them today. We want to live a normal life, a life that translates our moderate religion, our good customs. We coexist and live with the world and contribute to the development of our country and the world. This is something that there are steps that we have taken in the past that are clear. I believe that we will eradicate the rest of extremism very soon. So I don't think this is a real challenge, because we represent the moderate teachings and principles of Islam, and we have the right. The right is on our side and everything that we deal with. So I don't think that we're concerned.